I am so excited to introduce your next member of Kate Comedy. You've seen her words in Vice magazine, you've heard her voice on Sirius XM, and you've seen her perform on MTV. She's also the founder of Kate Comedy. Give it up for Kaytlin Bailey.
Keep it going for Carrie and her two buttholes, man. That's intense, right? I don't know if I could handle that. I've been going through a little bit of a rough patch myself recently. I've been doing a lot of drugs and waking up later in the day than I should. Has anyone ever woken up so late in the day you feel like a visitor on this planet? Has that ever happened to you? Right, where you just like peel yourself out of the weird like anxiety, whiskey, sweat puddle you've been lying in for too long. Oh, I'm alone on this issue. Nobody else has a barista in their life who's worried for them. That's just my story. Okay. Don't get judgmental. Look, I don't know if it's the drugs that I'm doing, or if I'm genuinely losing my mind, or if I'm just like smarter than you people, but like I don't like the way the machines have started to talk to us. Is anyone else? Right? Yeah, ever since we switched from a swiping card system to a chip card system, I've been getting a level of attitude at the ATM that I can't handle on the drugs that I'm on. I can't, right? Like, I used to like swipe my card and like chit chat with people and feel like a person. Now I feel tethered there, like an animal, right? And the first noise that the machine makes to let me know that it's time to take my card back, right? Like it's exasperated with my inefficiency as a species. Right, the first time I heard that noise, I apologized. I can't have... Do you guys have like families or real problems or something else to obsess over? I don't know. I move throughout the world just like irritated by all of it. I'm just a weird person, I guess. I don't know. I inherited a mink coat recently. That's the thing that happened. I didn't know that could still happen, right? I inherited a mink coat, but no money, which is a weird combination of things, right? But like I'm wearing the mink coat because it's what my aunt wanted, so, you know, I'm wearing the mink coat on the bus. I'm wearing the mink coat to the grocery store where I'm using my EBT card. I'm maintaining eye contact for these transactions because fuck what you think you know. I made a mistake recently. I wore the full-length princess collar mahogany mink coat to a donation-based yoga studio that I sometimes go to that doubles as a meetup group for vegans, because of course it does, right? Like, I didn't know. I didn't do it on purpose. I just showed up, and this small girl says to me, way too confident based like on our weight differential, you know what I mean? Right? Like, look, I'm not used to being condescended to by people that I can knock out. I know that's how men feel when I talk to them, but it was a new experience for me. Right, she walks up and she's like, you know, a lot of animals suffered so that you could wear that coat. I hope you know that. And I was like, look, my aunt fucked a dude she didn't love for 40 years so I could wear this coat. We all suffer. Also, my father's a war hero, which is just a guzzied up way of saying he killed people for money, and I killed a fetus in cold blood, so it's not that I don't think that mink is murder, it's that I'm fine with murder. You understand? I'm an only child, which is how this happens, right? I think that growing up an only child is a little bit like growing up in an echo chamber of crazy. There's nobody there to check you on your nonsense, right? Like, I had pet cockroaches in the 3rd grade. That's a decision that I made, right? And when I say cockroaches, I don't mean, like, cockroaches that I found in my house and then named. That's not my story. I come from money. Right? Not like pony money, but like, go ahead, major in history or whatever. Money. Right? So I used my allowance money to purchase like a Madagascar hissing cockroach that I named Daria, because of course I did, right? Yeah, and I brought it home like a hermit crab, right? It was the same process. And in retrospect, I probably could have handled a cockroach in the way that any child can handle a hermit crab, in that you hope it dies on the way home, right? That's what we've all been doing this whole time. Oh, whatever, Atlanta. You all had hermit crabs and none of you know what they eat. I'm not taking your bullshit judgment now, right? Here's what I learned about cockroaches. Cockroaches only have to have sex once in their life to make baby cockroaches for the rest of their life. Let me explain what happened. Daria may have only taken one load of cockroach cum in her whole life and just held it in there with her little cockroach kegels and then never stopped making babies. Right? Could you imagine if that's how it worked for us? Right? If you were just cursed with having the baby of whatever dumb fuck you lost your virginity to, like over and over and over again. Right? Like he goes to rehab or dies in a war and you're just raising like a herd of his worthless children. Wouldn't it make our obsession with chastity make like way more sense? So I was a creepy kid. That same year, I had my cockroaches. And do you guys remember the soccer team that got into that plane crash and then like some of them had to eat like other soccer? Right, okay, cool. Right. The movie about that came out when I was in the 3rd grade. And none of us were allowed to see it, and all of us were talking about it because that's how things work, right? And I remember this one cunt, Chrissy. Whatever, she's whatever. She hasn't gotten better. I follow her on Facebook. She's a cunt. Her name. And in the 3rd grade, Chrissy was like real confident that she was better than those people. So she was like holding court on the playground. Like, I would never eat a person. Like, ever. Like, I'm just not the kind of person that would ever do that. Like, no matter what. Like, ever. Right, but I'm me. So I'm like, you have no idea what you would do in a survival situation. And they called the guidance counselor because defending cannibalism in the 3rd grade is like a red flag or whatever. But they made the mistake, they called my father in, and my father's a Green Beret. So when they told him what happened, my dad went, yeah, you start with the dead, you move on to the weak. What are you teaching your children? My daughter's a survivor. By the time I got to middle school, it was all like long skirts and boots and like black lipstick at 7 a.m., right? Great look. Just writing death poetry, right? I remember somebody was like, hey, Kaytlin, what's your favorite food? I was like, poetry, because it feeds my soul. I don't understand why I'm not being invited to more slumber parties. Right? And I'd come home from school, I'd say ridiculous shit to my parents. Like, the kids at school are making fun of me. They're calling me a witch. They're so mean. An older sibling may have suggested, stop wearing a witch costume to school every day. This feels like a real simple solution. I have a hard time dating because I have this personality. I know how to date for food because I'm not stupid, right? Like, I know how to go to a bar and just sit there and wait for some dude to be like, would you like a drink? And then the bartender's like, she wants a burger! You're not special. I don't know how to pair bond. I have no idea what it would be like to sit across from somebody and be like, oh, maybe we could like build a life or combine credit scores or something. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what that looks like. Because from the outside, it mostly looks like two people sitting across from each other doing like their best impression of a well-adjusted person for however long they can keep that nonsense up, right? I can't do it. I won't do it. I sit down on a first date and I'm like, look, I've had an abortion, I have a tattoo on my vagina, and every time I have sex, I have a panic attack, so. Oh, you're actually fine with all of that? That's a huge red flag. I'm no longer interested. I turned 30 recently, so I'm trying to learn how to come. That's my new project. That's what I'm working on. Right, and like, look, part of the reason that I can't come is my fault, because I'm a control freak and I've had sex for money, so there's like trauma or whatever. But part of the reason that I can't come is society's fault. Because like in America, we do not give a fuck about the female orgasm, and I can prove it. I'm not gonna pick on a dude, I'm gonna pick on you. You're an adult woman that lives in America, is that correct? Yes. Did you know that your clitoris is the size of a human hand? None of you dumb fucks knew that. Be honest with yourself. It's not just that dumb dot that hangs out of the tip of your labia that dudes dry rub like they're playing a video game, all right? That's not the whole story. So stop telling me to relax, you monsters. Right? No, it's like a whole network of things. The French mapped it. There's a 3D map on the internet. You should Google it. Like, it's a whole network of things, right? Like the G-spot's connected to it. It gets like, or people are like, can't find the G-spot. It's like, well, yeah, because she's not aroused for you to have your fingers up there, you monster. Whatever. And the thing that upsets me so much about like this knowledge gap or whatever is that I and every other straight woman I know so much about how dicks work, right? Like I remember being in middle school or high school or whatever makes you people feel more comfortable, like poring over issues of Cosmo magazine, strategizing with a bunch of other virgins like how to make sex sexier for men. Which is a ludicrous waste of your time. It's like how to make dinner more exciting for your Labrador. It is fine, probably. I perform all over the country with these girls, and it's magical and awesome. And I love to talk to people after the show, especially if they're giving me drugs. But I find that the angriest demographic of audience member are like dudes that thought they wanted to fuck me until I started talking. That's the angriest demographic, right? And they're just, I mean, they're fun. And like you know, I'm on the road, and I'm a single lady, so like sometimes I'm interested in talking to a dude. And if I'm interested, we'll exchange phone numbers and like do the texting thing and like try to figure out how I can sneak away from the girls long enough to blow you in a bathroom or something. Or like whatever. But like if I'm not interested, I give out my website, which is super dumb because it's just a list of places I'm gonna be and times I'm gonna be there. Like it's like a stalker starter kit. I'm real dumb. I thought I hit rock bottom in terms of jobs I'd do for money when I walked into an Outback Steakhouse and I filled out the whole application. I thought that was going to be bottom for me, right? Did you know that they make you take a personality test to work at Outback Steakhouse? Did you know that? No? Guess who didn't pass? Yeah, I'm not qualified to work at Outback the fuck Steakhouse based on a Scantron personality test. The worst part, they won't tell me what's wrong with me. It didn't like come with a diagnosis, right? It's just like difficult, and I'm like, I see you. Challenging. I ended up working at Starbucks. That's what happened next. Atlanta. This seems like a really cool town, like a fun town where you probably like your barista probably like knows your name, and you probably like hope that they finish their screenplay. Like it seems like a fun thing, right? Working at Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan is being a kindergarten teacher for the worst part of the top 1% in their neediest moment throughout the day. It's not, I'll give you an example. I was working behind the counter one day, and it was just one of those like nightmare scenarios. We had like a line of people out the door. We ran out of coffee. We're brewing more, but we have to wait 8 excruciating minutes for it, right? We got a new girl on pastries who can't see the lemon tarts in front of her dumb face because she's panicking. It's the apocalypse behind the counter, and this woman is fighting her way like a salmon upstream to yell at me. I just wanted to let you know that I can actually afford the size of beverage that I want. Thank you very much. Here's what happened. I gave her a venti instead of a grande. I'm not gonna let you be on this bitch's team. I gave her more product for less money. That's the whole thing that happened, all right? And the way that she was yelling, I was like, look, man, you've gotta relax. Like, your kids aren't dead and you still have your clitoris. Like, calm down about your first world problems. Well, I got fired from Starbucks, I think, for obvious reasons. It was not a good fit for me. Starting to maybe reconsider that personality test. Here's what I did learn. If you are not qualified to hold down like a jobby job, people will pay you money to tutor a teenager on the SAT. That's a thing that you can still do. Right? They're like, was Starbucks too overwhelming for you? Here's a teenager under pressure. Right? It's just ludicrous. And the problem with it is, like, we teach kids in this country that how they do on the SAT, like, capital M matters. Right? Like, if they get above a certain score, someone's just gonna airdrop, like, a house and a spouse combo for them at, like, the right moment. right? Or if they get below a certain score, they're just gonna suddenly wake up like covered in bed bugs in rural Alabama with like a herd of meth-addicted dogs that resent them justifiably. Or like whatever your cold sweat nightmares are about. Right? So I'm tutoring this kid and he's freaking out. He's like, I don't know if I can increase your score because I'm on the cross team, the debate team, the soccer team, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, relax. I did awesome on the SAT. I'm not qualified to work at Outback. Things might not end well for you. What's super fun, if after I got fired from Outback and Starbucks and tutoring teenagers, somebody let me watch their toddler, which seems dumb. Right? Yeah. So I was tutoring this kid. Do you guys, anyone with children in the audience, by round of applause? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. What age range are we dealing with here? 10 to 23. What do you at?
6 to 10.
6 to 10. Anyone with like under 3?
I got a 3-year-old.
3-year-old, exactly. All right. So do you remember when they were like almost potty trained?
Oh yeah.
Right? Where it's like, yeah, so this kid, like when he was awake, he was fine, but the only time he shit was nap time. Right? So like it's just, like no wonder he never wanted to go down for a nap. He woke up with a natural disaster in his underwear every time. Right? So I'm babysitting this kid, and I know it's nap time because I'm the adult, and that's my job. Right? And I'm trying to explain it to him, and he doesn't care. And I gotta get him out of his like grown-up panties. That's not right. I'm not up on my toddler lingerie. But I gotta get him out of like the cloth Batman drawers into the diaper Superman drawers because of the aforementioned shitting problem, right? And I get his pants and his underwear off of him because I'm bigger than he is. That's my only advantage. That's the all I have. Right? And he's running around, and he's big enough that I like need his cooperation for like the diaper. So he's like running around. I'm like, you know what? I've been fired from all the jobs. I'm not gonna stand here and be outsmarted by a 2-year-old. I can't take it. I use my brain to lay down on this couch, show this kid how awesome naps are. Here's what happened. He woke me up some amount of time later to tell me that he shit on the floor. That's how we ended that. I deserved it. It's very uncomfortable. It's just, when I'm a smoker. No, whatever. I also had pet cockroaches. If you want to pass judgment, the time for that was 18 minutes ago. After I got fired from all the jobs, I smoke mostly to like self-medicate because I'm in a city with other people and you can't like scream cunt in public. And so like I'm smoking mostly, and I'm on the phone with my mother and like we're in a fight about a futon that neither of us own because I'm an only child. And so like I'm trying to self-medicate and I'm out in the city and like things aren't going well and I'm at the end of my rope and I'm smoking. I'm on the phone with my mom and in my periphery I hear, "Hey, smoking is bad for you." Right? And I ignore him because that's what you're trained to do in New York or you get peed on. Those are the rules. So, right? I don't engage. And he touches my shoulder and he says, "Hey, smoking will kill you." And I look up in a blind rage that is like mostly mom drama and like heat rash shit, right? And I'm so angry I can't even see him. I just process that I'm speaking to a fat person. That's the only thing I process. I'm like, "Hey, you're fat, you eat too much, you're gonna die." Just like that. That's exactly what happened. And that felt great, so the rage dissipated enough for me to like see him, and I realized that I was speaking to a 14-year-old child who was holding a clipboard that an adult in his life had given him, right? So he's on like an anti-smoking school assignment of some kind, right? Probably from some dumb like Teach for America 22-year-old from Oklahoma that was like, the best thing for students would be to accost New Yorkers about their drug choices. Let's assign that, right? So I said, "I'm sorry," and then he said, "I hope you die soon." I was like, "You're gonna make it, kid. You're all right." My parents are an odd match. They've been married for 32 years. Whatever. It's not working out for either of them. They're just different. My mother is this like ex-hippie, pot-smoking liberal Democrat whose favorite thing to do on vacation is go to gay pride parades and like bother people for dick pics. That's like how she does vacation. Right? So she's like on the right side of the issues, but she's practically accosting gay men. Like I can't, it's uncomfortable for everyone. Oh my God, is that glitter? Can I get a close-up? I don't know how to zoom. My father, ex-military Rush Limbaugh conservative, who's always been equally uncomfortable around like the homosexuals and the vegetarians. Right? Like his lifelong aversion to hummus was explained after I overheard him describe it as lubricant that the gays use. No wonder you can never find that stuff in the grocery store, Dad. It's not where you think it is. It's a whole different aisle. My father's easily intimidated at the grocery store. I went with him recently because my mom was trying to figure out what was taking him so long, and I found him standing like in front of the preserves, you know, like the wall of preserves. He's holding this list. Dad, what's the holdup? Your mama just wrote down jam. I don't want to mess this up again. They're adorable. We were riding around in my father's truck the last time I was home, and he doesn't wear his seatbelt because that's what freedom means to him. We're all just making it up. And he can't hear the beeping noises because Vietnam, and but my mother can, right? So after like half a mile, my mother's like, Joe, if you don't put your seatbelt on, I'm gonna start fucking with your blood pressure medication again. Right, and my father doesn't react at all. Cool as a cucumber. I own this truck. I'm not gonna let it, you, or the liberal media tell me how to live my life. They're amazing. Right? My father's been retired for a couple of years, which is, you know, it's whatever. Well, I'll tell you what's happening. He's bored. He's bored to tears. And so what that leads to is like this kind of stuff. The last time I was home, I walked in, and before my father said, like, hey, how are you? How was your trip? Or like, nice, none of those pleasantries. He goes, hey, did your mama tell you that we found scat in the attic? Hey, Dad, what's up? I'm not helping. Like, what do you... Raised a spoiled brat child. That seems out of my purview. He goes, well, I finally got that pellet gun I've been talking about. And I took care of the squirrels. My father did not touch the Raleigh, North Carolina squirrel population, but he decimated the our backyard squirrel population. He created, right, he's a like retired Green Beret, 30 years for war. He went to war with the squirrel. He created a hole in the ecosystem. All right? And he's telling this story, and he gets like a little teary. He goes, but it wasn't squirrels. It was bats. Dad, you're a Vietnam vet. This wasn't your first unjust war. What are we talking about? Parents have been married for a long time. Just for some context, my father used to court-martial people in Vietnam for smoking marijuana. That's like a thing that's true about him. My mother has smoked pot every day since she was 14. That's her thing. My favorite part about their marriage is that my father found out about my mother's daily pot habit 4 months ago. Okay? He used to investigate this shit in the army. All right. And the way that he found out is adorable. My mom forgot where she put her pot because pot. And my father found it because my mother like broke her bureau, and so he had to like empty all the drawers to like fix it or whatever, and she found her bag of weed that she'd forgotten about. And just as an indication of like where my mother and I are at emotionally, her first reaction when her husband of 32 years found her stash was to blame her 30-year-old daughter who's been out of the house for more than a decade. Right? So I get this ridiculous phone call from my father that starts with, did you put drugs in your mother's sock drawer? It's like, Dad, I still have hiding places in my room. No, that doesn't make any sense. Right? I can hear my mother screaming in the background, your father's overreacting! Which was definitely true. My father thought that the small amount of weed in like a Piggly Wiggly bag was enough for the feds to take the house. Right? I'm like, Dad, we are white. That is not how drug laws work. We're gonna be just fine, cowboy. So I stayed on the phone with them. My mom was on the downstairs phone, my dad was on the upstairs phone. They're like trying to figure their shit out. And the conclusion that they came to is my mother is still gonna smoke pot whenever the hell she wants to. And my father is still not allowed to bring Dr. Pepper into the house. That's still a house rule. then? Why would you? It's bad for you. It's full of high fructose corn syrup. It's a carcinogen. So the last time I was home, I was sitting on the couch and my dad was doing my laundry because I have a college degree and that was our deal. And he walks over to me, hands me $10, and he goes, "Hey, Kaytlin, when you go out later, would you mind picking up some Dr. Pepper and just putting it under the wheelbarrow in the garage, please?" I'm like, "Dad, you're a soldier. Do you need me for this operation?" My father looks at me and goes, "Hey, if your mama finds out and gets mad, you can leave." So the glue holding my parents' 32-year marriage together is that my father thinks he's in a POW camp. That's what's happening. My father's a man who's been like left behind by the world. It's weird, right? He doesn't know how to use a computer, and like, it doesn't. The girls, we spent some time with him recently. And he calls. The doctor told me to stop eating bananas and orange juice. My potassium levels are too high. I thought they were good for you. Make up your damn mind. Whatever. He's just. We don't have to get into it. He's just a confused old man. And I like to torture him because I'm an only child and I have that kind of power. Right? Yeah, like growing up being an only child, it's like too much pressure. But like as an adult, I'm like, get on board with my weird dumb whore choices or be alone for Christmas. Those are your options. Can't kidnap me anymore. I live in New York. Got shit to do. They're fun. So I like to take my dad out for coffee, and I like to take him to these like cool hippie places where it's like plumes of pot smoke and like Marxist literature on the wall, and I'm like, "I feel comfortable here." He's like, "No." Fought for your freedom to make mistakes. Nailing it. So we walk into this coffee shop in North Carolina, and I'm so proud of him because he walks right up to the counter and he says, "I would like a cappuccino," just like we practiced. And the girl behind the counter says, "What kind of milk would you like, sir?" And my father says, "I want milk from a cow." Not goat or soy or breast milk, or whatever it is you people have here. You guys have been so much fun. My name's Kaytlin Bailey. Oh, it's good stuff.